Good afternoon and welcome to Tech Academy. Today's topic is the new Partner Data Framework in Adobe Experience Platform. My name is Wouter van Geluwe and I'm Adobe's CTO in Western Europe. And today I'm joined by my colleague Sonia Charles, who's part of the UK Solutions Consulting team. Sonia has prepared a presentation and demonstration that will allow you to fully understand the new Partner Data Framework. As always, today's session will be recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel later today. If you aren't subscribed yet, just go to youtube.com/@EMC and hit subscribe.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to today's session. I'm really excited to present today and share content on our partner framework in platform. In conversations that we've had with customers, we've heard that many are really keen to find out how platform can help support their activities with partner data providers. So today's session feels really timely. Our agenda. So I'm going to start by providing a bit of context to the partner landscape today, a brief overview of the partner data support in real-time CDP, so what that really looks like, before going into a brief demo. And in today's demo, I'll be showing a core use case, which is using partner data to provide a personalized experience for new and unknown visitors. As Wouter mentioned, please post any questions you may have in the chat whilst I'm presenting. Okay, so let's go ahead and start then with the partner landscape overview and the role of partner data in our sort of first-party data strategy. So as you're no doubt aware, first-party data is defined as data that's collected directly by your organization. And this can be in the form of web engagements via things like first-party cookies, offline data, so point of sale data within a store, for example, or a branch of a bank, and customer provided addresses and phone numbers that a customer has given to your organization. But from talking to organizations, we understand that first-party data, which is really important, it's considered, something of the holy grail of partner of data, if you will, and the foundation for great customer experiences. It's often not enough to meet customer objectives, and this is where partner data comes in. So this is shared data or purchase data from a trusted partner. And it comes in many forms. So we have enterprise line of business data, first-party data. This is where data is shared within an organization. So if we think of large fast food corporations, for example, that have multiple brands sitting underneath them, and those brands are able to share audiences between each other, such as a loyal customer. Then we have brand-to-brand or brand-to-publisher data, where customers can share via second-party data, for example. So within real-time CDP, we have segment match that enables two brands or two customers to share data between each other. And then we have third-party data. So this is data that comes from providers that can provide things such as email addresses, partner IDs, or other what we call durable identifiers, together with consumer data and demographic information. So with third-party data, then you're able to kind of build upon profiles of existing prospects and customers and gain insights on new audiences outside of your own. So where does this partner data come from? And I'm going to focus here on the last data section I talked about, which was the third-party data. So this is data that's aggregated by partner data providers, and it comes from a range of sources, typically publicly available data such as government records, public records like property ownership or professional licenses. There's also self-reported data, so consumer surveys or organized magazine subscriber lists, and data from commercial entities where consumers have been informed that, how their data will be used. So if, like me, you've used a price comparison site to get a quote, as I did recently for car insurance, there will usually be questions about your age, your household, how many children you have, etc. And then when you agree to their privacy policies, there's typically a message that states that your data may be used with a trusted third party, and that third party is usually a data provider. So the data providers resolve that data. They use a probabilistic matching technology and augment it with additional data points from a broader ecosystem. And then note, as I've put here in the third section, that the profiles, they don't leverage cookie-based identifiers, so that's key. They're using these different types of identifiers, as I mentioned. And then the profiles can then be translated into identifiers, which can reach both new and existing known customers across different channels. Okay. So let's pivot to the specific ways Adobe's real-time CDP supports partner data. So the CDP offers a very flexible framework that allows for our customers to work with a data partner of choice. It's worth pointing out now that the platform is partner agnostic, if you will, so it can work with whichever data provider that you're working with and take in those identifiers. And so with this very extensible framework, you can firstly leverage those cookieless identifiers and hashed PII from data partners to, for example, find new customers and thereby reduce your dependency on third-party cookies. And I think we've all heard a huge amount over the last few years about the deprecation of third-party cookies and changes to mobile IDs, etc. It's a whole different webinar. But what it's worth saying here is that although partner identifiers do not replace third-party cookies, but they certainly help reduce the need to depend upon them. And then secondly, then within CDP, we have a very easy to use yet powerful segmentation capability. So you can create and then curate audiences and then activate for both prospective and known customers, and do all of this within a single platform. And I think most importantly, I personally think this is one of the most important aspects of the CDP, is that you can govern partner data with real-time CDP's data governance framework to ensure that you're marketing responsibly and using that data, that third-party data that you have, in a way that's compliant with your own policies internally within your organisation and any legal requirements that you're required to adhere to. And so if we take an example then of using partner data in real-time CDP to reach new customers via prospecting. So with partner data support in real-time CDP, as I mentioned, you can reach new customers and enrich your first-party data using partner source prospect profiles, and you can get these sort of lists of profiles from third-party providers that you can bring into platform together with partner IDs. So you can see on the left-hand side, I guess, a kind of classic real-time customer data platform profile together with known first-party identifiers. And on the right-hand side, we have this prospect profile with a partner ID and some attributes associated with this prospect. And so prospects, obviously, they represent people that you haven't engaged with, or your brand hasn't necessarily engaged with, and you don't have a direct relationship with them, but they typically represent an audience that you want to actually reach, who you think would be a valuable potential customer. And I've mentioned earlier that CDP is data agnostic, so that it's going to support these identifiers from any partner that you work with. One thing to note here is that the partner identities will not be stitched to these first-party identifiers that you see on the left-hand side. So these are the deterministic IDs that you see in the identity graph within Experience Platform. However, they can be pulled into the customer profile by using computed attributes within Platform. This is a feature that allows you to summarize profile behavior into computed profile attributes. And so at a sort of high level, essentially, you can create within Platform a computed attribute that allows you to pull in the most recent provided partner ID and add this to a profile. So in a nutshell, when real-time CDP captures and writes event data into Experience Platform, it loads it into a profile for segmentation. And this data that is captured will typically include an ECID, Experience Cloud ID, which is Adobe's first-party identifier for pseudonymous profiles. But alongside that, it can capture events where a partner ID is available, and then bring the most recent one of those partner IDs into the profile. And this can support future off-site retargeting use cases. So before we jump into the demo, which we'll do very shortly, let's just take a very high-level view of the workflow within CDP, and I'll be relating back to this when I go through the demo. So we've got three broad areas then for this workflow. In the first is the data collection. So brands can ingest partner data alongside their known and pseudonymous first-party data into real-time CDP. Then within this profile and audiences workflow, you can continue to collaborate with other brands and publishers. So we talked about segment match earlier, for example, as a way of doing that. And then Enrich, which enables you to enrich profiles with second-party data. And there's other types of data that you can pull in. And then when it comes to the third part there, then activation, you can then activate these partner enriched profiles to multiple destinations within Customer Data Platform. Okay, so for today's demo, I'm going to be using a fictional brand called Secure Financial, and I'm going to be showing how partner data can be used to support the use case for on-site personalization for an unknown visitor. Just as an overview of the main points then of what you'll be seeing. The idea here is that if a user lands on your site, how can you leverage an identifier from a data provider to give a personalized experience, or at the very least, a non-generic experience? So take a real life recent example. I bought a house not so long ago, and after buying that house, let's imagine I go into a retail website I hadn't been to before, maybe just to buy some groceries. And since I'm unknown to that retailer, when I land on the website, I just see a very generic homepage offering me money off fruit and veg. Now, if they're working with a data provider who is providing them with attributes about them, for example, an attribute here, there's one, I'm not sure if you can see it because it's a bit small, that says move property. I've recently moved property. This means that the retailer is going to be aware of that recent life change, the fact that I've bought a new house, I've moved into a new house, and they can promote items to me that I would find useful as a new homeowner, as opposed to the generic home site. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and share the demo. Just bear with me. Okay, so this is the website of Secure Financial. It's a financial services company that offers a range of products. I've just landed on site, and I am an unknown user. So I'm seeing a generic experience here, which is the Sail into Financial Independence banner that everyone basically sees. If I open up the customer profile viewer on the left-hand side, we can see there's not much data here about me. There's an Experience Cloud ID that's present, but not much else. So at this stage, Secure Financial, they are working with a data provider, and they want to improve on this kind of situation where they're just showing a generic website, a generic experience to a new user. So what they're able to do is call on that data provider that they're working with, make a call to their API to say, hey, come and send me some attributes, send me some data information about this person who's arrived on our site, so that we can deliver something that is a bit more relevant to them. So I'm going to go ahead and have a look at what's going on behind the scenes as they make that call. If I go in and inspect the code here and look in network and call up partner, should hopefully see response. Okay, so here we can see in the response, we've got a partner ID, but also some attributes that the partner has sent. So they've used the recognition technology that I mentioned earlier in the slides. to identify some information about me, which they've sent to Secure Financial. So here we can see mortgage interest rate information. It looks there like a 7%, very high. It's tough economic times right now. And that I'm likely in market, I think, for a mortgage refinance deal. And we've got this partner ID as well. So it's just a random number there, generic one. And so just to reiterate here, what's happening, I've come on site as an unauthenticated user, an unknown user potentially, and Secure Financial have made a call to the partner's API to get some information back. Adobe is able to then take this information. It's sent on the edge to Adobe's edge network, where I'm segmented in real time. And in this instance, that information is sent on to Target, which is then able to surface up a personalized experience for me now, or a more relevant one. So if we look to the left-hand side, the experience has changed and the messaging now is in keeping with the fact that I am, my attributes are showing that I'm someone who's potentially looking for a new mortgage. So this is something that you may be doing today already in terms of the personalization. The value here in doing it within CDP is that what you're doing is bringing everything together, right? So the personalization aspects, we've got Target within the platform. We can send it to send that information to platform to Target within platform, but also bringing in the partner data, my profile information, all those attributes, all within a single interface, within a single platform. If I was to come to this site again via two separate configurations, so Target and the CDP separately, I'd potentially be treated as a new customer each time, or new person each time. Instead, here we can see as the profile is building up a bit over time. So now we've got some segment membership. It means that each time I come to the site, Secure Financial is able to learn more about me, add it to the existing profile that's already existing within platform, and build up a profile, which means that they can offer me more and more targeted and relevant messaging, rather than seeing me as this new or unauthenticated person each time I come to the website. So really powerful there. Now, what I will do is jump into the UI, because I want to just kind of show how that's working behind the scenes and how we're actually activating that workflow that I talked about within platform itself. But just wanted to kind of give you a flavor of how that works kind of from the front end, if you will. Okay, so the first step then in that workflow that I mentioned was the data collection. So I'm here in the data collection UI. As part of this workflow then, so Secure Financial has configured Adobe's Web SDK. This is the lightweight JavaScript library that enables it to capture event data and send it to Adobe's network, edge network. From there, they're able to configure rules to basically say, okay, capture these events, capture this data, and then send it on to an endpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and search for a property that we've set up here under tags. For the old timers, this was previously launched. This is where we can configure rules to tell platform essentially where we want to send data. So we've got a bunch of different rules here for Secure Financial that have been set up. To capture data when someone abandons an application form, for example, or when someone uses the loan calculator. Here we've got a rule that says, okay, I want to send the partner data that's coming in on the home page, send it into platform, and then that's going into real-time CDP. So a really straightforward flow here, but one that's really important because it means that Secure Financial are deciding which data points they're actually collecting and where they're sending them the data onto, which we're able to do here within the UI. So after the data collection, we talked about the profile and activation management and data management. And this starts really once data is collected, with ensuring that the data is identified correctly in a nutshell. And so in order to support that within CDP, we have created an identity namespace specifically for partner data. It's called the Partner ID namespace. Namespaces are really important within platform. They provide context to the data that you're bringing in. So they ensure, for example, that if you have data with the value of a string of numbers, it's not incorrectly recognized as a phone number when in fact it's actually a CRM ID. And so what's really important then is that once the data is collected, or once you get your profiles from a partner, that they are configured to the correct namespace. And so we ensure that the data is treated as it should be, and that it's correctly labeled in that sense. So this would be one of the next foundational steps. And you can see one here that's just been created. I created the other day just for partner ID. You literally just need to put in a partner display name and then an identity symbol, which I've just called PID. Okay. So as part of that then, the namespace has been created for the data. Once data's in, it needs to be applied. It will be applied to a data schema. So a schema essentially structures the event data that comes into platform. You can see we have one here for partner data. This has been configured with different, if we click on here, we can see these different fields that represent these different levels, these different attributes, data that's coming from our partner, our data partner. A really important point here then is that we can apply labels to the data, to these fields, to ensure that the data is used correctly. And I talked about this earlier, saying I think it's one of the most important features of platform. What we can do, and we look under the policy section here, is apply these labels. We have ones now that have been created specifically for third-party data. And what this means, as I said earlier, is that the data that you get from the third party, from your partner, is used in the right way. There may be some legal constraints about where you can and can't send the data, and when you can use it. So this just ensures that you don't contravene any policies legally or within your own organisation by applying these labels to the fields. They can also be applied to data sets as well. Okay, so data's come in and it begins populating the profiles, which can be used for segmentation. So we talked earlier about the fact that we have our normal customer profiles and also prospect profiles, which you can get from the data providers as well. And so this section here on the left-hand side is where we have prospect profiles, which are kept separately from our real-time customer data profiles, as they contain that prospect data. As you can see, as you scroll down, the attributes which can be applied to the profile comes in many different forms. So this ranges from information about age, but also industry, income, geographical location. So really important data points. You can also see the JSON format as well. So you've got that flexibility. And then these profiles can then obviously be used as part of your activation activities as well. And so moving on then from there, you're able to obviously create audiences which can be activated. So in the interest of time, as we only had 45 minutes for this section, I've actually gone ahead and created some audiences ahead. There's one here, which is the, partner one for the mortgage refinance. Yeah. So this is just to show that you can use the partner data that you bring in very easily to create audiences in the same way that you can use your own data and in data that you're getting from any other sources. This is sample audience that's been created here for people who may be in a refinancing situation. So we saw on the website those attributes that were being captured. People who have a mortgage rate of 7% or higher is the rule here, and also a likely mortgage refinance is based on a model output, where I think this has 2 as the output, which means they're very likely to be interested in getting a remortgage. So as I mentioned, with the audiences, you're bringing in obviously standard attributes that you can add in. So we've got here the age attribute. We want to capture people within this very specific and fairly random narrow range, but anyway, 35 to 44. But then we've got the event rules. So these are based on that information that we were capturing from that our partner, our mortgage interest rate, which is going to be anyone who's on a rate greater than or equal to 7%. And then again, they're likely to be a refinancer. Okay. And so with the mortgage, the final step then in that flow is to activate the audience to a destination. Now I've gone ahead and already had this prepared to be activated to Amazon S3. So we've got this sent to this cloud destination. But obviously within platform, we have a catalogue of destinations to which you can send audiences. They're grouped under different categories. If you're not familiar with this flow, you can set up a destination by configuring it with your credentials, different credentials. So you can select and send audiences wherever kind of it makes sense to you, and in line with, again, those policy and governance rules as well. Okay, so that brings me to the end of the flow. I'm just going to go ahead and share my slides again. So just to go over some considerations then and takeaways from that. So in summary then, supplementing your data strategy with partner data is really kind of key part of executing on a number of use cases across things like customer acquisition, audience resolution, and expanded activation. But when working with partners, it is really important to think through some kind of key considerations as part of your strategy. So firstly, how will you use the partner data to personalize your experience? We saw in that demo that partner data was used to personalize an experience for me when I was on the website, in terms of me seeing some creative that spoke to my mortgage situation. Now, that's something that you might be comfortable doing, but you might be less comfortable using partner data to personalize an email notifications, for example. So it's just important to kind of think about how you want to use that data and what type of personalized experiences you want it to actually power. Secondly, think about what data is needed to actually supplement your first-party data for your use cases. So the key points really there are to think about what are the gaps currently in your first-party data. Where do you need to bring in additional data points? Because what you don't want to do is bring in data kind of, just for the sake of it. It needs to be fulfilling a gap or a use case that you actually want to act on. So really having that good understanding of where your need is when you're bringing in first-party data and deciding which partner data to actually work with. And then finally, thinking about the identities that any downstream destinations that you'll be sending data to actually require. So consider and think about where you're going to be sending the audiences for activation, and the fact that different identities are needed and are supported in those destinations. So as an example, there are social media platforms that don't accept all types of partner identifiers. So then you need to consider, well, I need to be activating based off some other type of identifier, like an email or a phone number. So just some key things to think about as you kind of move forward with your strategy. But I hope that's given you some kind of food for thought there. Okay. We are a bit ahead of time, but I wanted to, at this point, just see if we had any questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Sonia. Thanks for a great presentation and demo. We had a couple of questions in the chat, and all of them have already been answered. So there's currently nothing outstanding. If anybody on the call still has a question, this is the moment. We still have a couple of minutes to answer your question. while people are thinking about their questions, I also wanted to specify that we have a next session coming up in March, which is going to be focused on data isolation strategies, which is going to talk to sandbox management, how to set up a multi-country, multi-brand implementation in Adobe Experience Platform. So especially for our European customers, I think that's very useful to attend. I don't see any other questions coming in. Before you drop off, I would like to ask you to fill out the poll, which will be posted in a second in the window, to ask your opinion about today's session. Well, while you're doing that, I just wanted to once again thank you for your time today. Thank you for attending today's session, and I hope to see you again in March. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.